So the first thing I want to address here is the skills. Now, as nice as all of these skill descriptions turned out to be, I'm going to change these to bullet points and make like sub-points or whatever it's called for like all of the specific things that these skills will do. Oh shit. Scroll down. Just deleted the attributes for no reason. Now the main reason for this is that the descriptions are too vague, and I really want them to be extremely specific so that people know exactly what they can do with these skills, which should encourage them to make active decisions that will drive the campaign. And that wallpaper is too strong. I mean, it's so strong it borders on being illegal. Okay. Shit. Sweet. Okay. Arcana. I might miss some stuff out here. Hopefully I'll get everything down. I may refer to the 4th edition handbook again if I'm feeling like something is missing. So, detecting magic will be the first point. You see, I'm not sure whether I should put identifying magic items and detecting magic as two separate things. Probably because a magic user could enter a situation and feel it necessary to discern whether magic is afoot. And a perception test isn't necessarily going to be appropriate for that, because you would have to have an understanding of the arcane arts. And therefore, detecting magic, I think, is a legitimate purpose. I think we can include it. Again, I'm sorry guys, I really can't spell. That reminds me, something I thought about bringing to the stream was the typing of the dead. And I just realized that would probably be a really useful typing tool as well. I did play a bit of Type Racer, like in the past when I was in queues and stuff, but that's not really an option now. I don't think streaming Type Racer would be very exciting. Oh. Got distracted thinking about the typing of the dead. Identifying magical items, there was something else. Okay, reading magical languages and describing? What's the terminology for like reproducing a text? Okay, it's too complex. Let's rephrase it to writing in magical languages. I mean, I could condense those two down to use of magical languages, but maybe keeping them separate would help newer players to realize that they can both read magical things and potentially write them, making copies of them. Okay. Athletics. It's very self-explanatory, but still, I feel like clarification is needed. I've never played it, Yosanklai. I've seen a little bit on streams from time to time, and it does look pretty sweet. So I guess I could add it to the stream here. I guess we could do that. Could be fun. I'll have to see how expensive it is. A really important one, which I almost didn't think of putting down, would be carrying. Because actually, it bears no relation to encumbrance. Pulling, pushing, maybe I can... Okay. Thought that was a good idea. Proved to be mistaken, but I can still go ahead and add it there. I don't have a blacksmithing skill. That just occurred to me. I mean, clearly players are going to want to be able to repair their weapons, and to have a party member with that ability so that you don't have to keep giving gold pieces to random NPCs to repair said weapons, that's going to be appealing. Players are going to want that. It's going to be a good thing. I'm trying to think whether combat melee relates to anything else besides use of melee weapons. knowledge of melee weapons, I suppose. But that's never going to see play. It feels redundant. No one's ever going to be like, okay, I try to identify how damaging my opponent's weapon is simply through my own knowledge of melee weapons. Pretty sure that's a redundant feature. No one's ever going to be really doing that. So I'm just going to put use of, well, I suppose melee weapon fighting styles, maybe? So, just as I got to the cooking skill and started to reflect upon it, I've realized that I'm going to include a well-fed system like World of Warcraft, so that a talented chef can provide his party with bonuses going into an encounter by ensuring that they've eaten a hearty meal sometime earlier that day. I like that idea. So, dungeoneering, navigating underground. Foraging underground. And I'm sure there should be some other elements to this skill. And therefore, I'm going to check the player's handbook and plagiarize more material. Oh, of course. Dungeoneering knowledge. Make a dungeoneering check to remember a useful bit of knowledge about an underground environment, or to recognize an underground hazard or clue. I've got a raging clue right now. See knowledge checks, page 180. Examples of dungeoneering knowledge include determining cardinal directions whilst underground. Recognizing a dangerous underground plant. Okay. Or spotting new construction or noticing a change in depth whilst exploring an area. And other than that, we have foraging and monster knowledge. Okay, so monster knowledge and wait, I prefer knowledge of dungeon creatures and knowledge of dungeon fauna. Pretty sure that's how it's spelled. Okay, what is going on with equestrianism? Why are you so far away? Oh shit. What the hell am I doing right now? I have no idea what's going on right now. Seriously though, what? Wait, fauna means animals? Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay, that's how it should be. Sweet, and that fixed everything somehow, and now it's gone. Okay. Equestrianism. Taming horses. Maintaining stables. And riding horses. Now, I'm curious as to whether this skill is going to provide players with the ability to heal horses, like if their horse becomes injured but not killed in combat. Would equestrianism also double as kind of veterinary skill? Is that a word? Veterinary. Veterinarian. Is that a word? Veterinarian skill. Would it also classify as that? I'm pretty sure that modern day equestrians don't also have horse medical knowledge. I'm pretty sure they would also be depending on a veterinarian for that kind of thing. But in medieval times, or this fantasy setting, would an equestrian also be like a vet? I mean, if we think about how complex the society is, there are gigantic walled cities with hundreds of thousands of inhabitants. There's going to be a diverse array of professions. So it stands to reason that there would be vets, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's leave it without that feature for now. I'm pretty sure that's a good call. Okay. Shit. Just trying to work out how to get gambling to go back up to the previous page. Oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense. Gambling. There's not really much I can say about this. Playing card games. Playing dice games. Cheating at games? I think really that would fall under thievery, as it's more of a sleight of hand type of skill. I could say running games. Running a casino. There is no business skill in this, as the idea of an adventurer, which I had in mind, was very much someone who rejected the city life. That's an interesting idea, Vantalims. I don't think I would include in this specific system some kind of warmth mechanic for the player characters, because it adds a lot of complexity. And I'm trying to keep this system as minimal as possible. But there will still be things such as traveling through a snowstorm or through Arctic tundra or that kind of environment is going to apply like a movement penalty to the players. But there's not really... I think as a DM, I would be tempted to do something like, you've been traveling for 8 hours or something, you absolutely must stop now and create a fire and like eat food and be warm and stuff. Otherwise, you're going to start taking incremental damage for like every hour that you push beyond this point, or something like that. But as far as there actually being a system and like a field on the character sheet for the temperature and tracking it and everything, I don't think I would do that. It would be more of a GM discretion type of thing. I may include as like a sub-note for the Arctic type environment that you may want to consider imposing some kind of ill effects upon the party if they try to overextend or overexert themselves in this environment. Though it's not mandatory, it's not optional ruling. And it would be very easy to rely on the, let's say, the damage over time mechanics, which will be included, to quickly add something of that nature. That's something like betting on fighting or sports. Healing. stabilizing an unconscious? How is that right? No, no, of course it's not. Okay. I don't want to limit this to player characters because of course you could essentially heal NPCs if you ever needed to. So let's put characters in general. Stabilizing unconscious characters. Redundant words in there. Treating wounded characters. And I believe that would be it. History. I'm going to refer to D&D again for history just because I have a feeling my understanding of the concept is not quite complete. Sorry, I should read this stuff, guys. Sorry. You have picked up knowledge related to the history of a region and beyond, including the chronological record of significant events and an explanation of their causes. This includes information pertaining to royalty and other leaders, wars, legends, significant personalities, laws, customs, traditions, and memorable events. If you have selected this skill as a trained skill, your knowledge represents academic study, either formalized or as a hobby, and you have a better chance of knowing esoteric information in this field. Make a history check to remember a useful bit of historical knowledge or to recognize a historical clue. Okay, so my idea of history as a skill was pretty much spot on, so that's okay. Well, that's fairly easy to summarize, but is it clear enough? I think I'll break it down using some, if not all, of the examples given here. God damn it. Um, it just I'm just writing knowledge of way too many times. Okay, that's fine. It still makes sense, I suppose. leadership. Okay, giving orders, I think, is a nice third addition. So, linguistics fluency. What the hell is the term for, like, writing? Fluency. Okay, if the internet understands this, I'll be amazed. Maybe fluency also relates to writing. Oh, okay, it's a general term, so it doesn't necessarily relate specifically to anything. I mean, you could be fluent in reflex. Articulateness, I think, would be a more appropriate term. Then again, the second definition I'm reading here is the ability to speak or write a particular foreign language easily and accurately. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. So perhaps fluency is the term. We'll stick with fluency. And also bilingual relates to a person fluent in 2 languages. What if it's more than 2? Oh, multilingual, maybe. Is multilinguistics a term? Fluency and multilingual? It doesn't really sound right. Beats me. I'm going to use it for now. I can't really think of anything better. Nature. Tracking. Herbalism. foraging. There were definitely more which I was thinking of earlier today. Tracking herbalism, foraging, and knowledge of wilderness fauna and flora. I'll just check the handbook again, though I don't think it's going to offer anything. Well, handle animal. You see, they have actually condensed what would be my equestrianism skill into the nature skill. And I don't believe there is any specific skills for horse riding in this system, so possibly I should condense my equestrianism skill to be part of the nature skill. But it's not very intuitive. Well, I suppose it is, really. Because you wouldn't necessarily be thinking of riding horses. You'd be thinking of taming animals, and then you would think, oh, you could tame a horse, yeah. But you see, that would mean that if there was like an opposed role, just for an easy example, let's say a horse race was taking place, and there were various jockeys in this race, they would each make a nature test to see how well they ride the horse. Whereas in my system, they would each make an equestrianism test. And I'm not sure what's better. I'm curious as to how exactly horse riding works in this system now. Let's take a look in the Dungeon Master's Handbook and see if there's anything relating to that here. Right now, I'm finding nothing. Okay, I have no idea how riding is handled in this edition of D&D. So, in that case, I'm going to go ahead and keep the equestrianism skill in right now, purely so that I have a system. It may change after testing, but just so that I have one for dealing with horse riding in whatever situation that may be, whether it's in a combat situation, like mounted cavalry type of thing, or if it's simply going fast. So anyway, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with nature, navigation. Just trying to think as to whether navigation should include both land and sea, which I think it should. I think that the seafaring skill will provide you the necessary knowledge to command a crew and also, what's it called? You don't pilot a ship. What do you do? Sail the ship. Whereas the navigator is still going to be the one giving you the direction. I can't simply repeat the word navigating, really, can I? Plotting courses on land or at sea. Perception. Looking, hearing, smelling, tasting. I guess I should include touching, just in case there's like a blind character or something or some reason, some extremely dark environment perhaps, or something where touching is the only remaining option. How the hell could that happen? You've had like your nose ripped off, you've been deafened by some kind of magic that exploded your eardrums, you've had your eyes ripped out by vultures or something, and all you can do is feel, but it's possible, so I guess I'll include that. Performance. Singing. Playing. Musical. Whoops. Instruments. Acting. But when, like, if I include acting in performance, you could both deceive someone with persuasion, which is the charisma skill, the social skill, so you could tell a lie, but you could also act, you could perform in such a way as to persuade them, which is interesting because it means that a bard might not necessarily rely on their persuasion skill. They're actually going to be performing even more often if acting is included with the skill. That's quite a big decision to make. Acting. It's very open-ended. I mean, a player can do a lot with that. Man, that's giving me some cool ideas. Okay, sure. I'll keep it in for now, and we'll see exactly how it's made use of during playtesting. Persuasion. Intimidating. Whoops. Lying. Convincing. Reassuring? I mean, is that necessary? It includes, like, all of the types of social interactions that could potentially happen. Gaining trust. Reassuring. Whoops. Okay, I see. I think I should put intimidation. Intimidation. Deception. Convention. What the fuck is the word for convincing someone? It's true. I probably should just throw it in at this stage. But also these are kind of guidelines. Like, if the players try to do something outside of the realms of what's listed here, hopefully the DM will still be able to discern exactly which skill would be appropriate for the thing that they're doing. So it's not a restrictive list, it's more of a suggestive list. But you're right. I mean, the more I can get in there, the more inspired people will be by that to act in these ways. As something I've observed in newer players of role-playing games is that they don't quite know what their character is capable of. But if they can look and see, like, oh, I have a leadership skill, I can give orders, immediately they have a thing which they're probably going to want to try. They're going to see how they can alter the world using that skill to give orders. So you're right. It's probably best to just include as much as possible. Religion. Of gods. Gods? Gods? Can you not say gods as a plural thing? Is word actually devout Christian? Peace out, Kaisriel. Thanks for stopping by, dude. Have a good one. I'm just going to wind up typing knowledge of 1,000 times again. Gods. Holy grounds. I'm just going to hope that it's implied that this is knowledge of said things. Holy grounds. Traditions. Ceremonies. Burials or cremations. Rituals? Do rituals and ceremonies differ in any way? I'm pretty sure those are the same thing. Let's separate those two. We may as well. Seafaring. Commanding a crew. Sailing. Sailing. Just sailing. I guess ship construction / repair? No, I feel like that would be a separate thing. I feel like maybe even like a blacksmith would, I mean, you would need an NPC, you would need NPCs that are actually like ship builders. It doesn't really fit with seafaring. I mean, if you have knowledge of how to sail and command a crew, that doesn't really imply that you could build ships. I think again, it's like the veterinary to equestrian thing. It's very separate, so. Stealth. Okay, I'm just gonna take a quick bio break, dudes. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Sorry for the delay, bros. Memphis has just messaged me. For whatever reason. Okay. Stealth. This is kind of a tricky one. I mean, I can't possibly go into like every scenario which this is used in. It could be many things like silently opening a door, tiptoeing across a creaky wooden floor, climbing a building without being seen doing so. There's many things it's used for. I mean, it can be summed up with like discreetness or something of that nature, but again, it doesn't give very many specific examples. I mean, Vantalims, it doesn't necessarily just apply to sound being produced. It's also about remaining out of vision and potentially like downwind from your opponents so that they don't smell you coming even. So I think discreetness, because it sums everything up. Tactics would involve military strategy. Strategy. Zamit's Abyss, what's up, dude? Welcome to the stream. How's it going, bro? It's good to see you. Okay, I'm just going to quickly refer to the SWN handbook. There it is. I'll put it on main screen so you can see it in all its glory. So, maneuvering troops, recognizing ambushes, and setting up fighting positions. Troops, okay. Uh, I mean, that seems fairly inclusive. I'm satisfied. I do start screaming at times, my friend. I apologize if I do any screaming during this development process. It's highly unlikely. I don't think there's going to be much screaming going on in this portion of the stream. Stream keeps glitching out. I can confirm that everything is fine on my end. Though I am noticing some drops in frame rate from time to time. That does seem to be a common trend. I don't think there's anything I can really do about that, dude. Sleight of hand. I mean, I have 0 dropped frames, but the fluctuation in frame rate that seems to occur, I'm pretty sure there's nothing I can do about that. Sleight of hand, lock picking. Check this handbook, see if there's anything I've overlooked. Completely forgotten where the skills are. There they are. Oh, disable trap is actually part of thievery, but I actually have a trapping skill specifically. What is an act of leisure domain? Okay, let's find out. Oh, damn. I'm really sorry about that, Zamet's Abyss. But thanks for the support, dude. I appreciate that, if you can hear me. Appreciate that, dude. Peace out. Conjuring tricks. Ah, it's like card tricks and like street magic and stuff. Deception, trickery. Hmm, fascinating. Trading. Selling items. Securing discounts. Maybe I should just put bartering? No. No, that's the wrong term. That's like trading. Uh, Trading items without currency involved. But you see, the first synonym for haggling is barter. Bargaining? Quibble. Wrangle? Beat someone down. Jesus Christ. Drive a hard bargain. Deal. Wheel and deal. Dicker? Definitely dicker. I mean, come on. God damn, there's some amazing terms here. Chaffer, palter, dicker. Well, I mean, he wanted £10, but I dickered him down. I'm sorry, he did what? Bargaining. I'm pretty sure bargaining's like the best we could do. I'm pretty sure the follower alert is broken, guys. Hold on, I need to investigate. I'm gonna do a test follower alert. Oh, Jesus, there's no sound. This does happen from time to time. What a nightmare. What is wrong with my screen capture? What is that thing? Do you guys see like a thing at the bottom of the stream? Like an empty space. Oh, oh, it's that. Oh my God, okay. Sorry, guys. That is so weird, dude. It's so broken. Oh no, it's not. What is that thing? Okay, well, that was disturbing.
Toasty!
Okay, but we fixed that, and that's all that really matters. Okay, bear with me. It's a very temperamental thing, this alert system which I'm using. It tends to just like stop for no reason. Okay. Problem solved. Dickers. So I want something that expresses like forming a business relationship with a vendor or something so that you become trusted and you can essentially buy things on credit and sort of be contractually obliged to pay them within a certain quantity of time, etc. And if you fail to do so, they'll hunt you and kill you and take whatever possessions you have. There isn't really a term for that, as far as I know. Okay, I'm going to leave it because there's literally nothing I can think of that would express that simply. Is there anything else trapping would be for? Not really. Spotting traps? Well, no, because that would simply be a perception test. Why do I have a spell skill? Pretty sure my character sheets do not have a spell skill. Okay, that is left over from some previous version. Oh no, 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 no. It was the title of the next chapter, but for some reason it became a bullet point. That's my bad. Okay, everything's back to normal. So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with the new version of the skills list. Let's just reflect upon it and see if there's anything that I forgot. So, Arcana, detecting magic, identifying magical items, reading magical languages, writing magical languages. Those probably, like I said earlier, should be condensed into one. Use of magical languages. Use of magical languages. Athletics, climbing, running, pushing, pulling, carrying, martial arts. Combat, melee. Melee weapon fighting styles. Combat, ranged weapon fighting styles. Combat, unarmed combat techniques. Cooking, producing rations. Dungeoneering, navigating underground, foraging underground, knowledge of dungeon fauna and flora. Equestrianism, training horses, maintaining stables, riding horses, gambling, playing card games, playing dice games, betting, that should say, on fighting or sports. I'm going to say, or sporting events. Healing, stabilizing unconscious characters, treating wounded characters. History. Royalty, wars, laws, legends, traditions, customs, events. Leadership, gaining followers, inspiring characters. I dislike that one. Commanding characters. That's the same thing as giving orders. So I could either say giving orders or commanding characters. I'm going to say I'm just going to say commanding. Linguistics, fluency, multilingual. That doesn't sound right. Multilinguistics? Okay, it's going to have to stay the same. Nature is tracking, herbalism, foraging, knowledge of wilderness fauna and flora, navigation, plotting courses on land or at sea, perception, looking, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, performance, singing, playing musical instruments, acting, persuasion, intimidation, deception, conviction, convincing, convincing. Persuasion. That's the name of the skill. I think that's implied. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just add it. Persuasion, gaining trust, reassurance. Intimidation, deception, persuasion, gaining trust, reassurance. Can't think of anything else. Religion, gods, holy grounds, traditions, ceremonies, burials, cremations. Seafaring, commanding a crew. Commanding? Captaining a crew? Anyway, sailing, stealth, discreetness in any form. Tactics, maneuvering troops, recognizing ambushes, setting up fighting positions. Thievery, sleight of hand, lock-picking, pickpocketing. Trading, selling items. Bargaining. There's got to be a third one for trading. I can sense it. I can feel it out there, but I just can't grasp it. Trapping, setting traps, disarming traps. Okay. It's good enough. Please don't crash. Thank you. Something like very slow about this Google Documents thing today. It seems to lag. Well, that is what I kind of meant by merchant. Isn't it merchanteering? No? You see, that's the same thing as selling items, basically. Selling items wouldn't simply, it's not simply selling them, it's the ability to sell them for a high price, potentially, as well. So I'm gonna make this player systems, and then down here I'm gonna have yes. Mm. You mean like Yeah, you mean like a businessman doing everything for profit. Well, we'll give it some thought anyway. I'm sure I'll be revisiting the list. I mean, it's close, like it is like a business relationships thing, like establishing trust and being a returning customer and getting discounts that way, and then potentially being able to buy things on credit. And I'm sure we'll think of something. I just don't feel merchanting or merchanteering or whatever quite conveys that exact sentiment clearly enough. So I'm going to do a small extra piece relating to the hunters, which just clarifies some hunter specific rules. Hunters can perform. Maybe this should just be part of the overall combat mechanic. No, probably not. I think having warriors like gaining a +1 to hit by aiming for the torso with two-handed weapons which deal a hell of a lot of damage is going to be too strong. The hunters, they have lower damage weapons as a trade-off for gaining range from the conflict itself, the safety of distance. And then on top of that, because they don't really get to do much exciting things. They just sort of stand at a distance and repeatedly fire arrows towards people. They have these additional mechanics to keep it interesting. Hunters can perform cold shots aiming specifically for the legs to slow their target. The torso to gain a +1 bonus to attack rolls. This is it's too messy. I'm gonna try and clear this up. Aiming for a specific area of the target's body. Just a numbered list, I guess. One. Legs. Let's go top down. Head. Gain. I'm gonna say gain +2 to damage rolls, because a headshot, I mean, it's pretty devastating, but +2, that's a lot of damage. Let's quickly glance at the weapon table. So the most powerful bow is a flat bow, dealing D10. Maximum damage with any weapon in game is 12, unless it's an artifact weapon, of course. So I don't think it's necessarily overpowered. It would simply mean you're rolling between 3 and a 12, and that's not any higher than, let's say, a warrior with a greatsword could hit. But you can be 150 feet away and hit for 12 damage. That's quite strong. But then again, if you shoot someone in the face with a bow and arrow, it's generally pretty devastating. So let's go with the +2 for now, and if it's just stupid during the test campaigns, it's going to be nerfed. Now for like consistency, I want to give a +2 to hit by aiming for the torso. But a +2 to hit in itself is very powerful. This is a pretty tough call to make. I think the way that I could counteract this is to remove the passive attack bonus from the hunter class, because for the exact reason of hunters feeling a bit underpowered to me during early development, I gave them an attack bonus just like the warrior. So I think I'll remove that, but I'll give them the ability to gain a +2 by aiming for the torso. If an enemy is within 5 feet of the hunter, they receive a -2 penalty to attack rolls. Ranged attack rolls. That would be ridiculous if you also took the penalty to melee weapons. Damn it, I had the same issue last time. So I'm pretty pleased with how Hunter is looking now. With the removal of that passive attack bonus, I'm definitely happy with that change. Any excess gold or wealth, and change this to wealth and equipment. Can be stowed and spent at a later time. Okay, the player systems. Initiative. That's fine. Attacks. That's fine. Damage. That's fine. Hold on a second. What? Okay, that's better. Right, just a slight formatting issue. Fall damage. Encumbrance. Mana. Still not sure whether this rule is going to be a permanent feature or not. It seems pretty legit, but I could be mistaken. And that is casting with no available mana will consume hit points. Don't know exactly how that's going to play out. Feels like a good idea. It could just be ridiculous. We'll see. Resurrection, as far as I recall, everything is fine there. Yes. Dungeon Master Systems, we've got Morale, and we've got Flee. Okay. Pretty sure fall damage should be later. Probably there, right in front of Resurrection, so that once you fall off something, you know how to resurrect. So I think right below damage, I'll insert damage over time. And I'm just thinking about how exactly am I going to express the system of damage over time that I have in mind with things like fire damage. That's the only one I'm really thinking of, but as potentially poison damage. I'm still not quite sure how I'm going to balance the poison damage. Probably the same as fire, just to begin with at least. Okay. Some effects cause damage once per turn. Rolling a successful saving throw will end the effect. Some examples of damage over time effects can be found below. Burning. 1d6 per turn. Physical saving throw will end. Poison. 1d6 per turn. Physical again. Not very good examples there because they're both exactly the same. But I'm just thinking now, let's say you ignite someone using a fireball. Is that magical fire or is that fire fire? Would they need to make a magic saving throw? Or would they need to make a regular physical saving throw against the burning? Now, I personally feel that it should be regular fire and that they should have to make a physical saving throw. They should have to make a magical saving throw to potentially resist the fireball entirely and avoid the damage and the damage over time. So I'm going to stick with that to begin with, at least, but it is something to keep in mind. Poisons, drowning, perhaps? Now, how long a character can actually hold their breath for is a very good question, and there's probably going to need to be a mechanic for that of some kind, especially when there's a seafaring skill, and that you could essentially engage in like pirate battles or whatever that's called, and someone could go overboard. And if they were unconscious overboard, well, then I guess they're just fucked in that situation. But I'm sure there could theoretically be some reason that a player is like drowning. It's gonna have to be modified by Constitution, I guess, and I'm pretty sure it would be like an athletics test. Maybe it's just a certain number of rounds for every character. It could be like a test every turn to hold your breath, and it becomes incrementally more difficult. That I'm gonna have to think about that. What other examples of dots would be applicable? Bleed? If I was to include bleed as an example, though, there'd probably need to be some way of applying it. And that's going to add a new combat mechanic, essentially. It's almost like something that would happen on a crit. Like, oh, you crit, so you've hit them in a critical location, and now they're bleeding out, essentially. And they'll take additional bleed damage, but the effect of a crit is already to deal maximum weapon damage. So having both of those things could be very strong indeed. Let's quickly refer to SWN. Yes, suffocation. A character can go without air for a number of minutes equal to 4 plus the character's constitution modifier. This time is halved if the character is performing strenuous activity. A character that runs out of air begins suffocating, and each round they must make a successful physical saving throw or fall unconscious. An unconscious character will die in 5 minutes unless air is provided. That's a very interesting way that they've dealt with this. And it's all time-based. And I would want to completely rewrite it so that it's not at all time-based. Damn. Characters can hold their breath for a hell of a long time in this system, though. Never really thought about that before. But I suppose when you're dealing with the vacuum of space, you need to be able to hold your breath, but you would die immediately in space anyway, I'm pretty sure. I don't know how that works. I'm fairly sure you would, like, freeze to death immediately or something. Who knows? Then again, you could be inside your spacesuit and have some kind of respiratory system failure, and then you would still be the correct temperature and everything. I guess I'll give a disease as an example, because it will also include this toxicity rating mechanic, so that healers can potentially cure you. I think I'll call it a resistance of, let's say, 8 for the example, or maybe 10 even. Okay, those are some reasonable examples, I guess. Maybe poison should be less damaging. I don't know, because it's just an example anyway, and there's going to be several tiers of poisons, no doubt. Well, then maybe not. Maybe it will all be 1d6 for the sake of simplicity. The way it's balanced now is simply so that a rogue could strike with a poisoned blade, and they would subsequently take 1d6 until a successful physical saving throw was made, and a mage or a wizard, for example, could cast a fireball, ignite someone, they take 1d6 per turn until the physical saving throw is made, and it's just balanced to be like the same. They can both dot to an equal strength. From a sheerly mechanical standpoint, I'm almost tempted to nerf the burning damage, but that wouldn't make sense. It just wouldn't really make sense. But then again, you've got to think about the chance of failure that a wizard has when casting on an enemy, because they may resist the magical effect entirely, which is quite harsh. So the 1d6, I mean, it seems acceptable. Maybe the poison should be nerfed because of that exact reason. It's easier for a rogue to apply a poison, generally speaking. Yeah, like in the majority of scenarios that I can envision, it's easier for a rogue to apply dots. Okay, I'm going to take that down to 1d4. I'm going to make this 1d8, I guess, and bring the resist down to 8. Okay, those seem like some reasonably good examples, and it clarifies exactly how damage over time effects work. What next? Okay. An explanation of skill checks would be beneficial.